That's right, you will not comply. Can I hear that? Again! Again! Are you sure? Absolutely sure. No way you're going to comply, right? No way. Let me bring up a sheriff from Lawrence County, which is in upstate New York. For those of you that don't know, Sheriff Mike Pepinelli. Come on up, Sheriff.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm still new with this. This is my first term in office, and I feel that the reason why I came down here today was I just got back from vacation Sunday night, and I got a phone call on Monday morning saying, "Sheriff, there's a tender meeting down here." And I said, "Gosh, I have a lot going on at the office. Had some big things happen there, and I'm not sure if I can make it or not, but I'll do what I can." At the end of the day, on Monday, I went home, looked at my wife, sitting having dinner, looked at my little girl, 7 years old. I started thinking to myself, I'm going down tomorrow. The office is there. It'll be there. And the reason why I felt that way was I'm looking at my 7-year-old daughter who's getting on the school bus this morning and went to school. I didn't see anybody send security with her. I didn't see anybody at her school giving security like this Safe Act is supposed to be doing, I guess. They promised us that our children would be safer, that we would be safer. My little girl's not any safer, and I know that your children aren't any safer. That's one of the big reasons why I came here today. So I guess I'm not here to represent behind me. I'm here to represent the people that are out in front of me. And I haven't forgotten that, and I won't forget it. I just give you a quick brief about myself so you know that I don't want any of you to ever feel that because you're just a citizen, you don't have a voice. I'll tell you where I started out. I'm a retired city police officer from Rochester, New York. I didn't gain any rank, but I stayed a police officer and retired as such. I moved to Lewis County with my family because I felt it was a nice area to move to and it was a safe place to be in. So I went there, and after about 4 months, I was asked to work part-time for the Sheriff's Department. I did that back in 2006. At my time in the Sheriff's Department, I've had some people come up and ask me a few years ago, would you run for sheriff? It was interesting. I said, gosh, no. I said, I'm just a regular guy, you know? And I don't know how to do that job, I think it'd be too much. Well, more people came and said, you got to run, sir. I mean, you're the people. And I said, well, I'll give it a shot. Well, to let you guys know, I've never been involved in politics. I was told the only one in my county ever to do this. But when I ran, I won in all 3 parties. So I'm standing before you today to tell you that the people is the government. We're the government. And I'm an example of that, and I'm going to continue to do that for the people. And I just want to tell you all, thank you. Don't give up. Keep using your voice. I am not about to enforce this act. And there's another person here that's been doing this a lot longer than I have, with a lot more knowledge, and I have a great, great respect for him. And I'd like to bring him up as soon as he's ready, introduce you to him. That's going to be Sheriff Mack from Arizona. If there's any other sheriffs in the audience, I'd like you to come up, please. Sheriff Mack, thank you, sir.
Any other sheriffs? Any other sheriffs? Come on up. How about any other law enforcement that won't enforce the Safe Act? Come on up. All cops, all troopers, state police. Yeah!
Bless you guys. Thank you. We're all in this together.
I'm really sure you guys had me in Syracuse 2 months ago when I was dying in the snow, and now you have me dying in the humidity. In Arizona, we don't do either one. What's the matter with you? I love it. I love New York. Thank you so much for having me. I love it. I love every bit of it. I love every drop of sweat that has fallen today. Fantastic, no problem. One of the reporters asked me what I was doing here today. Why I came all the way from Arizona to be with you. I'm not from New York. And I said, well, we're all Americans, and we all came here for one reason. It's the same reason, the last words out of William Wallace's mouth. Freedom! That's it. It's a simple deal. It's a simple deal. We believe that freedom is just as important today as it was in 1776. And that standing against tyrants like Cuomo and Bloomberg, how do you like Bloomberg, I said it in Syracuse and I'll say it here. Mayor Bloomberg is living proof that you can be a billionaire and still a dumbass. So it's wonderful that we can see history repeating itself. We just come full circle, all the way back to the original tyranny that started the Revolutionary War. Let me remind all of you, if we have sheriffs and law enforcement officials that stand against gun control, this effort that we're here today to support will remain peaceful. If we have our sheriffs and law enforcement that tell the state legislature and the federal legislature, we will not enforce your stupid laws. But if you have a police force that is entirely trained just to follow orders, then we're in trouble. And so we've got to understand, there was one thing that happened in American history only about 50, 60 years ago that is one of the greatest lessons we could ever learn. And that is Rosa Parks. What did Rosa Parks do? She stood against stupid laws. Now, when Rosa Parks was arrested for failing to give her seat to a white man, we should have never heard of that. You know why? Because two peace officers that swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution walked up to her, and instead of arresting her, we had Oath Keeper sheriffs and Oath Keeper officers. If that had happened, Rosa Parks would never have been arrested. You see, we would have never heard of Rosa Parks. And that's the same way we can nullify and never hear of the SAFE Act, because we have peace officers who swore an oath in God's name to uphold and defend the Constitution that refuse to go along with stupid laws. So this is the way it should have happened. You'd have had somebody like Sheriff Capinelli and one of his deputies walk up to Rosa Parks and says, "Ma'am, what seems to be the problem here?" And she looks up really scared. She goes, "Why can't we be left alone?" Do any of you feel like that? Why can't we just be left alone? We are not criminals. So just like with Rosa Parks, they created a criminal. That's what they want to do to all of us, as you've heard today. Instead, this good sheriff, like Sheriff Capinelli, sits down next to her, reaches over and shakes her hand, and says, "Ma'am, what you did here today took a lot of courage, and it would be an honor for my deputy and me to escort you home safely." That's the type of sheriff you want in your county. You want a sheriff today who knows and understands the difference between enforcing stupid political laws from stupid politicians
and honoring and obeying and sustaining the supreme law of the land, the United States Constitution and the Constitution of New York. They both guarantee your right to keep and bear arms. And now I'll tell you, I've been to New York lots of times. I bring my family to New York City. We love New York. We love the rest of the state too. I mean, this is one of the most beautiful states in America. And the rolling hills and the farms and the fields and the old stores and the old corner market and all these things that exist here. But we like New York City. We love New York City. We go to Broadway. And you know, I went into a play about 10 years ago on Broadway. And there's this song going on in there. And it said, do you hear the people singing the song of angry men? It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that's from Les Mis. And recently it came out in the movie, and I saw it again. Same song. And I want to ask the politicians of New York, do you hear the people sing? Can you hear this? This is our song of freedom. We expect that when you raise your right arm, that you will not become a liar, and you will not become a tyrant, and that you will not break the supreme law of the land. You have placed yourself in a position of now becoming the ultimate lawbreakers, now putting us in the position having to decide whether we go against that law or we support the supreme law of the land. Now, when I sued the federal government, you know what? I was just a small town sheriff from Arizona. You talk about a David versus Goliath. I sued the Clinton administration. Some of you might not know this, but this whole case took twists and turns. But you need to remember, two small town sheriffs, Sheriff Prince from Montana, myself from Arizona, went all the way to the United States Supreme Court, and we kicked their butts. And we won. But my first judge, the first judge that heard the case, was Judge John M. Roll. Now, he was murdered 2.5 years ago, January 8, 2011, in Tucson, Arizona. He was the judge who said, Congress, you exceeded your authority when you implemented and passed the Brady Bill, thereby impermissibly encroaching upon the powers retained by the states pursuant to the 10th Amendment. And if we enforce the 10th Amendment, my dear friends, if we have people who stand for state sovereignty, we can take America back, county by county, and sheriff and cop by cop, and we don't have to bow down to these tyrants. Let me ask you, do we support the supreme law of the land, or these stupid laws that are made in here? I mean, it's ridiculous. Why would we support any of this? We have some sort of obligation to go along with people who violate the Constitution? No, of course not. Well, one other little thing about Judge Roll. This is what he said in my case. He said, Sheriff Mack is forced to choose between keeping his oath or obeying the law, subjecting himself to possible sanctions. You see, he got it. No wonder they got rid of him. But Judge John M. Roll was a good man who stood by the Constitution and stood against his own boss, telling them they violated the law. When they violate the law, we have no obligation to have these fine officers and Sheriff Campanelli and others go along. Now I have to make an announcement. On May 31st, you're all welcome to attend our Constitutional Sheriff Peace Officers Association Convention in St. Charles, Missouri. Sheriff Campanelli is coming, Sheriff Lowry is coming. We've had some other sheriffs that tried to get there and they couldn't make it. But I want you to, after you get home today, call your sheriff and tell him you want him to come to this convention. All of you are welcome, okay? You're free. If you get there, you're free. We'll have everything free. Meals, everything. You're welcome to come. May 31st, St. Charles, Missouri. You're all welcome to attend. St. Charles, Missouri, May 31st at the Ameristar. And I'll tell you what, we have sheriffs from all over the country. Do you want me to tell you who our sheriff of the year is? Sheriff David A. Clark Jr. from Milwaukee. He's doing just the opposite of Bloomberg and Cuomo. He told the people of Milwaukee, you better be armed because we can't be there in time to save you. And I want all of you to come and shake his hand. Now I've got another announcement. The Deputy Sheriff of the Year is none other than Deputy Stan Lennon from Albany.
Yeah, I love Stan.
He was the one that was in the airport, and he told the airport people and the airport authority to go back to their office and leave these people alone. They wanted to arrest 2 people who were passing out flyers. That was their only crime, was passing out flyers. And Deputy Lennon said, no, you're not going to violate their constitutional right. They have a constitutional right to be here. For those of you who can't make it, make sure you call and thank Deputy Lennon. He lives right here. I called him right before I got here. I tried to get him here so you could meet him. But if you want to come and shake his hand in St. Charles, he'll be there on May 31st. One other thing I want to say. When they sing in Les Mis, how much time? When they sang in Les Mis that we will not be slaves again, which of our founding fathers equated that to gun control? Well, it was George Mason. He was one of the founding fathers and a legislator from Virginia. And he said, I asked her, what is the militia? It is the whole body of the people. You see, it's us. There's no contradiction in the Second Amendment. When it says the people, the right of the people shall not be infringed to keep and bear arms, it was just telling us that we, the people, are the militia. And of course we are. We always have been. And then he said, George Mason added, to disarm the people is the best and most effectual way to enslave them. Mayor Bloomberg, Governor Cuomo, we will not be disarmed. We will not be slaves again. Let me reiterate what my book said. I'll be signing books over there right after I finish. Come over and get one of these. But let me tell you this right now. Gun control in America is against the law. And those of you who support laws that infringe on our rights, you are breaking the law, you are a criminal, you are a lawbreaker, and if nothing else, you are a liar. Because you swore an oath that you openly disregard and summarily violate. Now let me close one other way, and I'll ask all of you, everybody, really be quiet so we can hear this. When I first got converted to the Constitution, it was because I went to a class taught by a great American by the name of Dr. W. Cleon Skousen. And this was 1983, and I was a rookie cop, and I went to his constitutional class, and he had 240 big tough cops get up, and he taught us a little kindergarten exercise about the Constitution and the preamble. I want to leave you with that today as my prayer for America, that we will return to the basic fundamental principles that our country was founded upon before it is too late. For your children and my children, for your grandchildren and my grandchildren, and for America and all New Yorkers, this is what I dedicate to you. And this little political prayer goes like this. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. And that's the eagle. Long may she be free.